Call the meeting to order of the April 19, 2018 Radnor Township Zoning Hearing Board. First item, invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a brief agenda tonight. We have one application. In advance of that, we have one request for an extension of time. In advance of that, we have one other item on behalf of the board. Going back several years, this board has historically acknowledged and recognized members who have ended their service to the township and to the zoning hearing board. Bud Hirsch, our former colleague, has joined us here for the beginning of the meeting to hear some nice things I want to say about him. Bud served on our board, and we appreciated many aspects of his service. He always, in a very soft-spoken way, made significant and helpful points in our deliberations, and there were two things. One is Bud spent his career in real estate, in the real estate profession, so that he was able to add a perspective to our deliberations that some of us were not able to add. The second, perhaps as important, is when he served on the board, Bud was the only non-attorney. And as Scott has begun to learn, I think, there is value to having somebody, at least one person on the board who's not an attorney, because the rest of us have a particular focus. So we do very much appreciate the time that Bud spent with us, and we have for him a plaque which reads, I will tell you briefly. Honoring Arthur Hirsch for your dedicated and exceptional service to the Radnor Township Zoning Hearing Board. Bud, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do have a couple of things to say.
And you can.
Good, not for long. The first thing
It's on the record, Bud. Remember
that. Be caught in this microphone. First thing I want to say is I'm grateful that my plaque hasn't been put up to a vote this evening. So thank you for that. And that I do want to say that when I came on this board, Bill was the only one I knew, and I had the opportunity to meet all the rest of you, and how delighted I have been and impressed with the, what should I say, the wisdom, the character, the integrity, and the way this board operates, that I have just been so impressed with that all the decisions I think have been done with the best interests of the community and who we are, and I just can't tell you how much I appreciated that and enjoyed getting to know all of you. That John has been a fabulous counsel, Kevin's been great in his work, and I just want you to know how pleased I have been and what great memories it has. So thank you so much. I'm going to shake everybody's hand and that tonight.
The plaque was voted on.
It was voted on.
It's unanimous.
Thanks, good.
They spell your name right.
I'm going to keep it, I'll tell you.
Right.
You bet.
But
George, Scott, all the best to you. Thank you. Good luck to all of you.
next item on the agenda, thank you both,
Thank you.
is Appeal 3012, 321 West Lancaster Avenue. Do we have a representative here?
Hi, good evening, Deborah Shulsky.
Let me read this for a second. I just want to make sure you have a seat. First Resource Bank, property located at 321 West Lancaster Avenue. Request for extension to March 2, 2019. Council.
Good evening, Deborah Shulsky here on behalf of the applicant. Also with me this evening is Glenn Marshall from First Resource Bank. You may recall we were before you very recently on a zoning application to permit the redevelopment of this site for First Resource. This board was nice enough to grant our application, which we greatly appreciate, and we're here tonight seeking an extension. Your zoning ordinance has a fairly short period of time from which you have to pull a building permit or your zoning approval expires. We're in the process of, and we have submitted plans for land development, and we're working through that process with the township, and we still have to obtain a PennDOT permit, and then ultimately, obviously, prepare the CDs and have the building permit submitted. So we were respectfully seeking a 6-month extension, just so that we make sure that we have everything completed within that time and our approval doesn't lapse. So I would appreciate your consideration of that.
Thank you. Do any of the board members have any questions of the witness?
It's currently scheduled to expire when?
September 2nd of this year, so we would ask for another 6 months, so then it would take it to March 2nd of 2019. And I know it seems like it's far away, but I have to tell you, it is amazing how quickly the time goes by. And next thing you know, there might not be a meeting, or there's vacations, or not a quorum, and then, you know, so we like to be proactive and just keep an eye on it earlier in the process than later to make sure that we don't miss anything.
Right. And so at this point, are you through planning? Are you through salary?
We just submitted for land development.
Okay.
So we're going through that process now.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the applicant be granted the 6-month extension to March the 2nd, 2019 as requested.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second that.
Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Appeal 3014, the applicant James and Leslie Ryan, property located at 8 Duncan Lane and zoned R1 residential, seeks variance from section 280-15C of the code regarding the front yard setback in order to construct a front porch to the existing home. Square footage of variance requested is 68.5 square feet.
Good evening, Board.
Please introduce yourself and put your name on the record this morning.
Yes. Hi, I'm Jim Ryan. My wife Leslie here, Leslie Ryan, and our attorney Scott Roth. Scott Roth from Curley & Roth, and nice to see everybody. I do.
Swear, Mr. Ryan.
Sir, if you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name for the record, please.
James J. Ryan.
And you gentlemen can proceed however you'd like.
Okay. Can we first go over what documents you have? Have you pre-marked any exhibits?
We have not.
Okay. Can you say your full name?
Yes, James J. Ryan,
Okay. And where do you live, Mr. Ryan?
8 Duncan Lane, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania.
Is that in Radnor Township?
It is in Radnor Township.
Do you own that property?
I do.
And how
We
long?
do.
How long have you lived there?
We moved in 2005.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
My wife and I and our 4 children.
Okay. Who currently lives there with you?
My wife and I and 1 child.
All right.
Currently. 2 are in
And-
college, so
Okay.
we're not so sure.
Hedging your bet?
Yeah.
Have you ever rented out the property?
No.
Do you know how big the property is, acreage?
It's about 1.2 acres, all in, I believe.
Have you brought a copy of your deed with you?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have copies of the deed? I believe
We do
it was.
not.
We marked.
Well, you should mark it. We want to put it. It was a requirement in the package.
Okay. Just
Why don't we
one.
label their application A1, applicant 1?
That works.
Okay.
Then the deed can be A2 if we like.
May I leave the original with the
We don't need, we need just a photocopy. That's all. Okay, that's A2.
This is A2.
Yes.
You proceed.
Just for the record, Mr. Ryan, can you identify A2?
Yes, this is the deed to our property in which we signed on March 30th, 2005.
Have you invested in the property since you purchased it?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just summarize briefly what you've done?
Sure. Over the course of the years, we've updated the electrical lighting system outside. We put on a new roof, all new windows, new landscaping, new pool filter, repaired fence areas. That's about it. New heating system, new HVAC system. Just your normal standard sort of upkeep of a property. Nothing extravagant.
And what are you looking to do now with the property that's led you to be here tonight?
Yes, so we very much enjoy the neighborhood and the property itself. It's set on a hill that actually has a great sunset. And so my wife and I love sitting out in the front yard and like to entertain our neighbors and friends, and would like to put a porch on the front of the house to help us do that.
Okay.
So,
Are you looking to do anything else other than construct a porch in front of the house? Okay, no other additions, garages? Okay.
no,
Have you brought plans
I
with you?
have. Yes. Here, it's on the south.
We marked the plans as A3?
There are 2 page, are these the same plans as?
Yeah,
earlier,
I'd actually
or-
say that these are an update because of a slight error in the concrete, what is that, the impervious numbers. Yeah,
Alright.
and so these are updated.
Thank you.
So things I can throw in the trash.
Yes.
Those are moved.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have 2, Mr. Chairman, we have 2 plans here. You want to make AS, no, 3 plans. Make them AS1 be A3.
Okay.
The sketch that's unlabeled would be A4.
Sorry, Paul, is that the one that says A1 at the bottom? Bottom right corner.
I don't see it on this.
On the right, the bottom. Lower right.
No.
I think it's up on,
I see, yeah, the one that says A1, yes.
A4. It will be exhibit A4.
And the one that says A2 would
Will be exhibit A5.
Mr. Ryan, I was referring to Exhibit A3, which are the plans that your
Yes.
architect has labeled AS1. Do you know who prepared these plans?
Yes, Glenn Ritter, who's an architect in Honeybrook, Pennsylvania.
And do you know when these plans were prepared?
Yes, so say end of February.
Okay. And were these based on prior plans that you had produced?
They were, yes. So when we purchased the house, about 5 years later, we decided to see, we wanted to see if we could actually add a garage, standalone garage, and convert our existing garage into a family room, and then also add the front porch. We decided not to move ahead with those plans, and for various reasons, and felt as though, so I had the opportunity to go back to Glenn. He pulled the existing plans. We took out the addition of a family room and a garage, and recalculated the numbers for the lot, and are just asking for variance for the front porch.
Okay. So with regard to the porch, before we get to the plans, can you describe how it physically will appear? In other words, is it going to be an enclosed porch?
No, it's an open covered porch. We have a traditional colonial home, and 4 windows across the first floor, 4 on the top, and center front door. And so it'll just be a porch on the front, and walk up a couple steps.
So it'll be open, in other words?
Open porch.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about screens going around?
No.
And is it going to span the full length of the facade, of the front facade of the house?
So if you take a look at the third, you'll see that
A5?
A5. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, A5. You'll see that the house has a connected garage there, so that's the garage over on the left-hand side. The main living area of the house that you see, which is the 2-story piece, the porch would span just the front of that piece of the home.
Okay, and what would be the lengthwise dimension of that facade where the porch will span? Do you have
So the
that?
length of that section is 40 feet.
And then how deep is the porch in terms of coming out from the existing facade?
It's 1/4 the length of that, so it's 10 feet.
Are you sure 10 feet is enough to have enough space for using the porch?
Yes, and architecturally, from just look and design, a 1/4 by full length is what most architects are recommending.
Did you consider making the porch more narrow, shortening it from 10 feet?
We did, but it would just look odd. It's a very balanced home when you take a look at it now, so having to come in or turn it or make it thinner than what it is on the plan would just make it look a little odd.
And would it diminish the utility if you were to shorten it from 10 feet to, say, 8 or 9 feet?
I think so, yeah.
So with respect to why we're here tonight, on A3, can you point out what the issue is with respect to an encroachment on your front setback?
Sure, and so, as you can see, the property, the Duncan Lane sort of swings down, and our property is on the corner of Duncan and Shannon Circle. And the lot itself is runs parallel to those two streets. The house is tilted, as you can see on the plot. And so what we're having here is the building setback line, which starts at the corner of the home, the corner of the proposed porch would encroach on that line.
Do you know what the setback is, your front yard setback?
Currently, it's 60 feet, so it's quite a distance. We feel as though when you're on the street looking at the home, there's plenty of front yard, and that the addition of a porch wouldn't make you feel as though a building is on top of the street.
Have you done any computations with respect to the degree of the encroachment into the front yard setback?
Yeah, so it's about 68 total, 68 square feet. If you take a look at the plan there, you've got 10 feet out by basically I think it's 13.7 feet. So you do that's coming to 130. That's a triangle, and at least I sort of remember that from grade school, but it's about 68 square feet, all in all.
Do you know the dimensions of the triangle that encroach into the front setback?
Yes, so it's 10 by 13 point something, and then you'd have, I guess that's another 12 feet there. I don't know the exact measurements. I know the dimension here, but.
In other words, the short leg of this right triangle is
10
10 feet, and the longer leg of the right triangle is 13.
Yes.
Right, and then the hypotenuse is what essentially runs along the setback line. So when you got 68 square feet, did you multiply 13 by 10 and divide that by 2?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, it's 68.5 square feet, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know, with respect to the entire front yard, what percentage of an encroachment that is? Were you able to do that math?
I think our architect did the math. I don't remember the number off the top of
All
my
right.
head.
Do you see a table over here that shows front yard encroachment?
Yes.
And do you see where it says front yard area?
Yes.
And what figure is that?
23,640 square feet.
All right. And again, you were correct. You said 68.
68.
Okay.
So it's 0.29% of the total square footage of the front yard.
So about 1/3 of a percent.
It looks like the intrusion, the absolute intrusion into the yard is 8 feet 4 inches, correct?
measured linearly from the setback line to the corner.
The furthest true corner to the setback.
I agree with that. We went with square footage to tabulate the degree of the encroachment only because, you know, if you had an 8-foot linear encroachment measured across the entire setback line, that would certainly be a different situation than having essentially, you know, triangular encroachment that's much smaller. So I thought that, you know, for measuring the degree of the encroachment, square footage was more appropriate. I even thought of going with cubic feet since it's a 2-story house and it's only a 1-level porch, but the math got a little too complicated for cubic feet. But I do agree that is, I think it's about 8 feet 4 inches.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay, so well, constructing this porch, to your knowledge, encroach on any other setback, any of the side setbacks? Okay. Are you doing any other work to your house? Do you have any plans to do any other work that would cause any other encroachment?
No.
Do you intend to continue to use the property as a single-family residence?
Yes.
Are you asking for any other relief other than this dimensional variance for this corner of your porch?
No.
Have you considered any sort of alternative configuration, such as just doing the porch on half?
We have.
Okay.
And from a construction perspective, time and money-wise, even if we fell within the setback line, the cost is minimal in the difference because it's really only about, you know, it's 130 square feet. But visually, I just don't believe we would move ahead with it because visually you have a balanced home and then you've got this sort of like front porch off to the side. So visually, it just wouldn't.
Okay.
And I don't think my wife would go for it either. So.
In other words, would it be worth investing in constructing a front porch if you can only do either a half porch or a porch that's cut off on an angle?
No.
Okay. Do you intend to use the porch? Well, what hours of the day or evening do you intend to use the porch?
So during the day, I mean, it would be a great place to, you know, sit with grandkids or read or.
Please.
Or, you know, in the evening, have neighbors over or family. We're not, you know, as I mentioned, we only have one child at home, and hope that she'll be gone soon, right? And so we're not the party porch people.
Like what time of night do you think you'll be out there?
Sunset.
Well, we usually shut it down.
You're not under.
We usually shut it down around our house about 8:30.
Okay. I mean, is there any chance that any of your, you know, I know you have college-age kids would come, like, say, during the summer and be up late?
No.
Okay. Have you talked to any of your neighbors about your plans?
Yes, we've talked to all of our neighbors and through the process have notified them by mail. And actually, neighbors have reached out to us in support of it. And I have some copies of emails here. Can I give you? Here we go.
We have I wouldn't be concerned with what I'm going to tell you right now, but the rules of the board are that we accept letters as distinct from emails. Are they all? Didn't this issue come up recently? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
In other words, they have to be mailed, or
No, they have to be signed. In other words, you could take the print out the email and sign it.
okay.
But you know, the rule has been that the board only.
I would, without presenting for evidence, please note to us orally
Yes.
how many such emails were you proposing to share with us and give us a sense of where these folks allegedly live.
Okay, so we've got Stephen and Linda Shirley, who.
Now, we could just a
Jen.
number. And
Okay, four.
Four
Four of
okay.
our neighbors, all in close proximity to our home.
And they were indicating via email that they were not objecting to
Not
that.
objecting in full support.
Thank you. I
Okay.
don't think we're going to proceed.
Just a quick question, though.
Sure.
have any of your neighbors objected to your proposal?
No. And in fact, the neighborhood is relatively active, especially on a nice day like this past Wednesday. And just by walking the dogs, Leslie and I ran into neighbors who have been on the street since the development had been built, who are all excited about people investing in their homes on the street. You know, we're all fortunate to live in Radnor Township. One of the specific things about our neighborhood is that we're on the furthermost east side of Radnor Township. So right across Duncan Lane is Haverford Township. And the development was likely one of the first old mainline estates that was developed in Radnor Township. So the homes, while they're all beautiful, are of a late 70s design. And so it's nice to see we've had young couples move in, update, you know, put siding on or stone facade. And I think it's important for us to continue to have, you know, to invest capital in these homes to attract buyers into these neighborhoods, as opposed to just passing over that east side because, you know, downtown Wayne or further out is more popular. So we love our area. It's a great neighborhood. There are great people, and Leslie and I want to stay. And
we ask counsel if he has any other questions he wants to know on the record.
I have no other questions for the witness. I do have a legal memo that was sent to Kevin. I have copies if you need hard copies.
I have that here. And I had circulated to the board after our receipt. Do any members of the board have questions of the witness or his counsel? Okay. That being said, I would entertain a motion encouraging folks, if they're going to frame a motion, to sort of give some thought to whether or not the nature of the relief that might be suggested here.
As to whether it's de minimis?
Yeah, but I don't want to lead. I don't want to lead.
Didn't want to lead too directly, but
I knew that's what you were thinking.
Yeah. Want to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the applicant be granted the relief to build the porch as proposed on the plans admitted. Have you moved
Page 3,
have they
4, and
moved
5?
their, exhibits?
Yes.
Okay. On exhibits A3 through A5, on the basis that it is a de minimis variance, period.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Quick discussion. I concur with the motion. I think it's a persuasive argument that the amount of land involved is de minimis. It's a pretty significant setback from the street. There's no evidence of objections from the neighbors. So I'd be supportive. Are there any other comments or discussions?
I'm fully in support as well.
I want to call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, 5-0. Good luck with your project.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And meeting's adjourned.
Trust the process.
It's good thing they're playing that.
It's a great looking front porch.
Oh, I want to know the photo. That was pretty neat. That was something the architect did with the computer.
Oh, that's so.
Because at first I thought this SOB already. I thought this SOB already did it.
Exactly right.
Actually, it's a photograph I came across online that looks exactly like our home, but has the front porch.
So it's just a house that looks like that.
That's sort of the concept. That's the concept that we want to do.
Thank you.
I thought it was like the architect somehow fitted on top, which I was impressed with. But I really did look at it and think, is this something they want to get legalized? But
Thank you very
I'm
much.
glad you. Thanks. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck on the project.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Ladies.
We're on
Thank you.
Kevin, thanks again. Good luck.
Especially we have no meeting.
Nice to see you.
Wait, today there's something else.
I'm sorry, would the legal memo put in as file?